Well, this may be the most important video to completely make your fast the most successful fast you've ever had. Because this strategy of diet variation and feast-famine cycles, I mean, this breaks you through into fat burning and fat adaptation like no other. The dogs are getting restless here, so because it's dinner time, and sorry I had to do this on another night, but I'm going to be out of town. But look, hang in there till the end. Always make sure you share the videos because I am going to take some questions, which was a request, and I haven't had a team member to help me answer the questions, but I have my wife Marilee behind the scenes tonight, so we're going to be taking some questions. So let's make sure we get to that. However, some lessons first. The key to this fat adaptation, or the key to the diet variation, is the hormone optimization that occurs from adaptation. Meaning, if we can force the body to have to adapt, like exercise, the body will get what? Stronger or weaker. As long as it adapts, it gets stronger. So likewise, when we make dietary shifts or variations in our diet, we literally create this adaptation that occurs, and it does it by optimizing the hormones. Meaning, it literally, your cells become more sensitive to your hormones, and you've heard me on other videos talk about why that's critical. Many people today, they're taking hormones, but it doesn't matter if you take hormones. If the hormones can't get its message in the cell because it can't hear the hormone, it doesn't matter how many you take. It won't make you feel any better. So, and by the way, taking hormones is very in vogue, but what else is very popular today is cellular inflammation. You have to understand that the receptors to the hormones are on the cell membranes. And when the cell is inflamed, mostly, by the way, due to toxins, but when the cell's inflamed, it doesn't matter if you take more hormones. But one of the biohacks that we can do is get the cells more sensitive to the hormones. And that's what this adaptation trick does. Feast-famine cycles. So there is weekly diet variation strategies, feast-famine cycles. You're going to learn that. Monthly and seasonally. I actually want to start with seasonally and kind of work my way back. Because what you have to understand is humans, our DNA is set up to actually go through these diet shifts. You know, right now, I think more than ever, people hang their hat in a certain camp, meaning that I'm a paleo guy, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, ketosis, you name it. You know, we have all these diets that all the diehards swear by. This is the diet, right? Well, look, I think there's a reason for that, because when the person goes to a vegetarian diet, they go, oh my gosh, I felt so much better. My response to that, well, of course you did. You got some toxic meat out of your diet, standard meat, conventional meat, I should say, out of your diet. That's going to make you feel better. But what they're missing is the magic in the diet switch. And then if you stay on any diet too long, it actually can lead to problems. I'll pick on the other side of the aisle, right? So people go low carb or paleo, and they say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And I would say to them, of course you did. You took all these bad carbohydrates out of your diet, right? But yet, if you stay on one of these diets too long, it can start to create new problems. So look, that's why we have all the science both ways, because it depends on how long they looked at a diet for, how long the people were on it. But the fact is, when you look at ancient cultures, you actually see this variation, diet variation occur. So you see a forced shift in diet, whether it's monthly, whether it's even weekly, as I'm going to talk about, or even seasonally, whether it's from forced adaptation or changes because of weather. Maybe it's just the lack of food. Maybe it's the lack of water. Whatever it is, environmental or just simply bad luck, you didn't find any food. Regardless, our ancestors were forced into dietary changes. At the seminar, I always put up a bunch of studies talking about what we're finding out is because we're not changing our diet, there's major consequences in diseases from not being forced to change our diet. And again, another big thing we're finding out is every time we shift our diet, even seasonally, it has a great effect on our microbiome, which is our gut, which we know plays into a lot of health problems as well as solutions. But the other missing thing is this adaptation that occurs. When you do these diet shifts, the body literally has to optimize your hormones to create the adaptation. And by the way, that's the key to weight loss, right? Is optimizing our hormones, and it's definitely the key to feeling better. So we have to shift the diet. So, okay, you kind of have the science, and I don't expect you to understand it. My book will be coming out in March where you get all the science. But I can tell you clinically, all of our doctors that are in our group, we all utilize this strategy to break through the impossible, to break through the weight loss resistance, the hormone problems. It works. So let me give you some strategies. Okay, I said I'm going to go backwards. Seasonally, look, it's not rocket science. You know, I'm in ketosis now. Maybe in a month from now, I'll move out of ketosis. I move in and out of low carb, higher healthy carbs. I get my carbs up maybe to 100, 150 grams a day, and then I go back in ketosis where I drop them down below 50. And you can do it seasonally. I typically even do it even more drastic than that because I travel a lot. I will move in and out of the state. And by the way, the more you do these strategies, the more metabolically flexible you get, meaning you can get into ketosis in a day or two. And so I don't have to wait 2 or 3 weeks. So I can really move in and out of the state and get more variation much faster. My wife working the camera does the exact same thing. Monthly variation means that we can take maybe 5 to 7 days a month and increase our good carbohydrates if you're in a low carb diet. And it works. I'll just give you one of the reasons why it works. And ladies, this is for you because you've heard this. Women shouldn't do low carb diets, shouldn't do ketosis, shouldn't fast. Well, it's because they go through a lot of hormone changes at least once a month. Whether you're perimenopause or postmenopause, you still go through hormone changes, meaning you take certain hormones and you make more active forms of hormone. And I'll give you one, thyroid hormone, taking the stored hormone T4 and moving into an active form that makes you feel good, hormone T3. You need insulin to actually make that conversion. So therefore, doing higher carbohydrates at certain times of the month actually makes that conversion better. Estrogen, same way. So you need higher carbohydrates, simply put, to make some of these hormone conversions. So for those who are in perimenopause that may struggle with some of these things that I'm talking about, like weight loss resistance or a low carb diet or fasting, doing it 5 days or a week before your period is magic for you. And husbands, doesn't put you off the hook. I would do it at the same time as your wives. But men, same thing. Pick any random 5 to 7 days of the month and do higher carb. Watch what happens hormonally. I'll just keep it simple. It transforms your hormones to remind the body it's not starving, to remind the body it has plenty. That's magic. Also, you could do the same with high protein. Do 5 days, maybe 7 days of high protein a month. The key is the variation. All right, let's talk about weekly, where it's my 5-1-1 or 4-2-1. That means you're going to be doing 5 days of ketosis, okay, low carb like I taught you, and then 1 fast day a week where you just eat 1 meal. Pick the day, don't care. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I pick my busiest day. And then here's the fun part, you have 1 feast day. That's the day that reminds your body it's not starving, fire up the hormones again. Now look, I don't want to get a text or a thing saying, but my numbers were horrible the day after my feast day. Of course they were. We want you to get knocked out of ketosis, but the second day after, the magic starts to happen. The body will start burning up, firing up the fat burning machine again. These feast days are as important hormonally as the famine days. On the fast day, what are we doing? Obviously, we're getting our body ready for the 5-day fast, right? We're giving it more time to burn its fat. We're forcing and getting the mitochondria, we're forcing it to adapt. Remember what I taught you before is bad cells don't adapt. Bad mitochondria don't adapt. That's where the fat gets burned. So what happens is the bad cells, they go away. Your body will eat those. So the fast days, we're putting the pressure, the hard exercise on the cells. The bad ones won't adapt. The good ones get better, right? They get in more shape. So think of that as your exercise day. Think about the feast day is reminding the body hormonally that it's not in a starvation mode. It'll keep burning that fat. All right, what is the 4-2-1? Now we put in 2 days. I like them randomly. Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. You pick them. But put in 2 days where you actually do one meal a day. And you can do this. If you want to take it even to the next step, that one meal, do a partial fast where we take your calories to 500 to 800 calories just in that one meal. So, can I do a feast day the next day? Absolutely you can. My feast days are typically on Saturday or Sunday, and I love to eat to my heart's desire. I try to eat more meals that day, and I definitely try to eat more healthy carbohydrates that day, and it could be even higher protein and more meals. So higher calorie, higher protein. Reminds the body it's not starving, and remember, the variation forces adaptation, and that forces hormone optimization. You see, so the more ups and downs we have, it's better. In my book, I talk about, that's not out yet, but will be, it's written. I talk about the studies where they compared constant low carb, constant low fat, all types of diets with a diet with more variation. The diet with more variation won every time for weight loss. Every time. And the reason? Hormone optimization. The variation is the magic. And I know it's hard to believe, but it really is the magic. So therein lies. Now let's open it up for some questions, Mary. Go ahead.
All right, guys. What do you want to know? One person, wait. I'm supposed to drop out of ketosis on feast day. Yes. I just raise my calories.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one way, but that's not the only way.
On the feast day, you're dropping out of ketosis. You can increase your calories if you desire. I like to do that. I like to increase my healthy carbs to about 100 to 150. Go to 200 if you want. No doubt keeping them healthy carbs is the best thing. So things like yams, sweet potatoes, maybe that's a great day for your ancient grains if you do okay with grains. Eat foods that you do okay with, but just increase the healthy carbs. Maybe it's more fruit that day, more berries that day, make more shakes. If you're going to cheat, make it that day. Unhealthy people, don't cheat. Just do healthy carbs. But yeah, that's the idea, is to break out of ketosis.
They're asking, as they're preparing for this fast, still doing carbs on feast days.
Yes, the whole idea of this is, remember, this has been sequential in the fact that we started with fat adaptation. Then we started no snacks, just 3 meals, and then we went to eating in a smaller window. And by the way, at this point, I would keep trying to squish your eating window. So if you were at 10 hours, go to 8. If you were at 8, try 6. If you were at 6, try 4. Start squeezing your window down to force that adaptation. Remember, bad cells don't make that adaptation. So it's like exercise. We're creating a little more stress on the cell. Well, that's what this does too. We're going to create a little more stress. We're going to force some more adaptation. We're preparing for the fast. That's the point of this, to become even more fat adapted. And therefore, this is going to increase dramatically the results of your fast. What I mean by that is you're going to be able to go into autophagy much sooner during your fast, and you're going to therefore produce more stem cells during your fast. You're going to be able to take more energy and drive it towards healing during your fast. So I believe these feast-famine cycles actually do that more than anything. So start with the 5-1-1, do that for a week, and then move to the 4-2-1. And again, I taught you last week, if you didn't see that video, go back and watch it, how to check your blood and watch, because during these fasting states, when we're intermittent fasting, and you would still be intermittent fasting during the 5 days and in ketosis. So we're not dropping anything we've learned so far, we're adding to it. So those are the 5 days. You're still eating in your window. You're still eating below 50 grams of carbohydrates. One day that you choose, you're fasting, eating one meal. And another day, you're feasting. The 4-2-1, 4 days in ketosis, still eating in your window, 2 days of fasting. You can make them back to back. I do all the time just because I'm busy oftentimes. I did it today. I just ate one meal today. Yesterday I did 2. I think the day before. So see, I do it more often than that. But for you, just pick 2 days random if you can, and then one feast day.
Do you think more than one higher carb day a week would not be good for weight loss?
Actually, some of our thyroid people and really hormonally challenged actually do better with 2 feast days. And, I'm giving you, here's where to start. But, clinically, myself and my doctors, we will oftentimes change it even to 3 fast days. So, and we'll do 2 feast days. So, that would be a 2-3-2 if you want. So, but yeah, so we start to go down that road, but start here for sure. But more feast days can benefit people with thyroid conditions, adrenal conditions. So feast days are very, very clever.
Yes, if you've been doing this for a while and you're not hungry, but you're not losing weight and you're doing it for weight loss, then yes, you need to mix it up.
Yes, mixing it up. Remember the studies. Mixing it up is actually, emotionally it's really good, right? I can't imagine, not having a feast day a week, but a lot of people have guilt because they say, okay, I just need to break, but they have guilt over it. No, the feast days are actually arguably more important even than the fast days.
It's something to remember, everyone. You can't live in bondage to your food.
Yeah.
If you're living in bondage to your food, then you're in the wrong group.
Yeah, no, because see,
that's not our expertise.
Listen, I grew up in an Italian family. Food was everything. My gosh, food's still everything in this house. The girl behind the camera, man, she lives for the next meal. But she was also the girl that couldn't go without a meal. She was the one eating 20 meals a day.
Who are you dining with?
Unknowingly. But no, food was her life, my life too. It's still that way. We love food, and we're accused of eating tree bark. But I always say, if you followed me around for a week, you'd be like, holy cow. It's amazing what you all eat. I love food. We go out to dinner. We know how to order. I'll do a whole video on that because there's a strategy there.
And oftentimes we make our company crazy until they start doing it too, or they just are happy when we're with them. So we do it for them.
You guys go first, and our company usually goes, I'll just have what they have.
I'll take one for the team.
I usually, Marilee does that, but I'm just start with her.
Yeah, I cover all the bases. That's because I am a little OCD.
Yeah, true. But anyways, there's you want to enjoy your food. It's so. It's so important to enjoy your food, and it never feels like bondage to us. I'm telling you, these strategies, it's science. We're understanding the science behind it, but I'm telling you, this is what ancient cultures do. I saw it in Africa. They were forced into these variations. It's like, this isn't rocket science. If we just do what our ancestors do and our DNA is set up to do, it's magic. It really is. And by the way, the variation, I'm going to talk about what diet to choose next week, because I'm going to, what diet to choose, what fast to choose, because there's a fasting mimicking diet, the partial fast, and a water fast, that you are going to be able to choose. But oftentimes we have a client do a partial fast for 5 days a month, and then a feast 5 days a month. Imagine that variation, because a partial fast, you're talking about 500 calories a day for 5 days in a row. And studies show the rise that you get even from the autophagy stem cell is remarkable. And then you add 5 feast days where you stimulate another pathway instead of autophagy. It's called mTOR, and that's a building pathway. But when we throw that variation in there monthly, I'm telling you, it's magic. And I know I give you a lot, right? It's a lot of information. But after I'll do more videos on this, because even after the fast, you're going to want to keep this practice up. This is what we do to stay really fat adapted. Is there any more pressing questions?
Well, adrenal fatigue, consult with your doctor. If they're asking if they should still fast.
Well, here's the thing. Adrenal fatigue, these strategies, it's impossible to have a successful fast without adrenal fatigue. A lot of low carb is impossible. Thyroid problems and adrenal fatigue without this diet variation strategies, especially in women with thyroid problems. You need the monthly, weekly, and seasonal variations. And I would say anybody with adrenal fatigue, you have to do these variation strategies. I believe everyone should, but more so people with these type of challenges.
But we unfortunately can't recommend.
Yeah, exactly. With really any condition, you need going through any type of fast, you should have supervision. We always have to say that.
So the next question, how many hours should we be fasting on the 5 days? 16-8? Is this for a partial fast?
Well, you're asking about intermittent fasting. Go back and watch last week's video, because I told you to choose an eating window. And of course that would define how long you're fasting for. That's different for everyone. And I gave you a strategy on how to test your glucose and ketones to figure out if your eating window is working for you, because you may have to expand it until you get more fat adapted, and then try to squish your window a little bit. You want to eat your meals in that window and fast the rest of the time.
And yes, let me see. my glucose was 73. I exercise, my glucose goes up to 103.
That's normal. Remember, again, rewatch last week's video. It seems like a lot of you need to go back and watch that. I think it was titled week 2 or anyway. It was titled intermittent fasting. I know that for sure.
All right, and that's it. He addressed the carbs earlier.
But hold on, let me finish that thought though, because you have to. You can't exercise and then take your glucose. When you test those numbers, the exercise releases glucose. That's very normal. So you can't test after you exercise. It throws the number off.
Someone has said, I thought it took 2 to 6 weeks to get fat adapted. So would this feast day with carbs delay it due to getting out of ketosis? Confused.
No, actually, on the average person, it takes 2 weeks to become fat adapted, 3 if you have some more challenges. And we're also going to talk about next week, those of you who aren't fat adapting yet at all. There's another reason for that. Stay tuned next week. But no, so what you want, this actually helps get there faster. The feast day, actually, again, because you're not doing it constantly, obviously if you're doing it constantly, it would be a bad thing for you. But this feast day actually, again, it creates this hormone optimization. It actually helps you break through. But look, this has been sequential here because what we're doing is we're fat adapting. Since we started that, we're 3 weeks in. So actually, that's why this is placed where it is, because we want to get you to the point of fat adaptation, and then we want to shock the body again.
Do you eat nightshades?
Of course, we all do. I do. I love nightshades. Now, I mean, look, if you have a leaky gut, histamines, nightshades, gluten, I can go down the list of things that will irritate you. However, you can't win the battle of avoidance. That doesn't mean you don't try to avoid some of the things that are irritating you. The point is that that's not the solution to get your gut well. These strategies actually are. Fasting, types of fasting, diet variation, these feast-famine cycles. This is what we use to actually fix the gut more than anything. But yeah, so if you're sensitive to nightshades are very healthy, just like lectins. Lectins are in many foods. However, they will irritate a gut that's leaky. So yes, the answer is yes. Okay, so wrapping up, I hope I got a lot of questions answered, and I'm going to hit the thing. Marilee got pulled away, but I hope we will see you next week.